met before, I'm Dr. Linda, emergency medicine physician here from Sheffield, and I'm here with my amazing co-host, Dr. Erica, GP from the West Midlands, and we are both board-certified lifestyle medicine doctors. If you're new to us, well, we are here every Sunday at 5 p.m. UK time. And I would like to ask you a question. Did you ever consider the chronic disease that so many of us suffer from, such as type 2 diabetes, fatty liver disease, heart disease, and even some cancers, such as colon cancer and breast cancer, are diseases that are unified by our lifestyle. And this means that they are actually prevented by our lifestyle as well. Well, we are here every single Sunday at 5 p.m. so that we can bring you the education and the know-how on how you and your community can prevent, manage, and even reverse these diseases. Today is a difficult day for me, and I think for all of us. And I would just like to say a few words about why we are able to be here and to talk about what we believe in, what we think is important to us as individuals. And that's because of democracy. That's because we have the opportunity to feel, to think what we want. And right now, our thoughts are with the people in Ukraine. And I'm one of those people. If you know me, some of my family, my friends, they are right now at war. And my heart is with them. And here at Afternoon Tea, we are so grateful to have the opportunity to share our passions and to talk about what we believe in. We believe in a healthier, united future. And to be able to do that, we all have to stand together with the people in Ukraine so that we all can protect them and our future democracy. Well, this is a little bit difficult. We have to keep going. And we have to raise awareness, and we have to do what we can so that we can fight back against censorship in a world where we cannot speak our thoughts. We have an incredible conversation today to show that you can change your life within this democratic world that we live in. Through education, we can learn, we can share, and we can grow as a community. And we would love to introduce your speaker today to inspire you to take this opportunity that you have to live your best life.
So today we're speaking to Zaynub Elshamy, and she is a whole food lifestyle practitioner certified in behavior modification, diet therapy, holistic health and wellness coaching, and exercise science. Her passion is to see every person living their optimal life, free from chronic disease, overuse of medications, and underestimation of their body's natural healing ability. Her approach is simple, emphasizing on proper nutrition and sleep and a bit of daily activity and movement. She focuses on individualized goals, preferences, and habit change to form a plan which will help her clients lead to the outcome they are searching for. And today, Zaynub will be sharing with us her own story of how she put her type 2 diabetes into remission. Welcome, Zaynub.
Welcome, Zaynub.
Hello. Hello. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. I just really want to discuss reversing diabetes or going into remission, whichever way you want to state it. My story, I can tell you my background, but before I do that, I think I'll just say that I believe everyone, I just have so much empathy for anyone who has prediabetes, gestational diabetes, type 2 diabetes, because it's very complicated, it's very individualized, and it's hard to deal with. Really is. I had it for 12 years and I reversed it just by a lifestyle change, which I'll discuss. I'll start with just my background. I was born in 1963 in America. I was always the overweight kid. Every class, I was the overweight kid. My family was all overweight. There was diabetes history in my family on my mother's side. And when I went up and down. I yo-yo dieted my entire life, starting at the age of 15. I, even in my 20s, lost about 70 pounds, kept it off a couple years till I got married, then got pregnant with my first child and gained all of it and more back. I had gestational diabetes when I was 25 with my first child, but my doctor right away found it and said, let's try to show you what to eat. We changed my diet and I pretty much controlled the diabetes, the numbers, your blood glucose levels through the pregnancy. And then as soon as you deliver, they take your blood sugars and they're perfect again. Your blood glucose returns to normal. Then 3 years later, I was pregnant again. And this time they even told me, this will happen again. If you get pregnant, you may end up with gestational diabetes again. And it happened again. This time I couldn't control it. I was 3 years older. I couldn't control it with diet. I was, of course, heavier than I was the first time. I'd never lost any baby weight and kept gaining. And I had to go on insulin the last trimester, which it's scary. You get put into the hospital and it's not just yourself now you're worried about, because they say if we can't control it, the baby can be born deformed. The baby can be born so huge you can't deliver it and all these things, and it just scares you. And I was put overnight, a couple of days in the hospital, just to teach me why we use insulin. What is insulin? And although I've been gestational diabetic before, your life gets busy. I never read about it because it was gone now, right? It was gone. The diabetes was gone. So then I was on insulin and once again delivered, the gestational diabetes went away. Now they did warn me, of course, they do tell you when you're older, you may end up becoming diabetic. And I just thought, well, it's genetic. Everyone in my family has it. It's genetic. It's going to happen anyway. So live my life. And I got busy and I moved abroad, children in America, then moved abroad to the Middle East with my husband and just kind of lived life, busy life, raising kids, schoolwork. I struggled then at that time, I had a lot of IBS issues. I struggled with that my whole life. And of course, never lost the weight. Just got worse. I gained weight and I gained weight. And so finally, when I was diagnosed when I was 42 years old, which was, I believe, in 2005, I was diagnosed then with diabetes. And my A1C, which is a blood glucose level you take every 3 months to see, it kind of shows you what your blood sugar has been doing for 3 months. It was like 8.5 already, and the normal should be 5.6. So I already had diabetes.
Sorry, Zaynub, if I just cut in here. So for the people who don't understand the percentage, in the UK, we use millimole per mole.
Right.
8.5% is 69 in millimoles per mole. And the cutoff for a diabetes diagnosis is 48. So just to
Right.
Erica and Zaynub, I just wanted to share your picture here before and after, and we'll share it again, but I think it's just so powerful to show where you have started from.
So here we are. Zaynub, this was you.
Yes, the first picture. Yes.
And as you transitioned.
Right.
And Zaynub, how old were you on the first picture?
The first picture, I believe I was 50, must have been 50. I'm not even sure. I think it was in 2015. Yeah, 2015. So yeah, I was 52, 51, 52. Mm-hmm.
Wow, you look very youthful. I didn't.
Well, thank you. And my second picture, the second picture there was in 2018, after I had started the diet in 2000, the whole food plant-based diet. I'd started that in 2017. The second picture was about 14 months later, and I had already lost in that picture. I'd lost about 60, 65, 70 pounds, and now my body was in a plateau, which we can discuss if you'd like. And my second picture is now. This was in 2018. I had lost all the weight, 120 pounds, and kept it off. Now I'm the same weight. I've kept it off now for 5 years.
Amazing. It's incredible. And on the first picture, did you have type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure,
yes.
IBS?
I had type 2, yes, I had all of it. Yeah, I had all of it. I was on medications, I was on supplements, I was trying anything I could, but no one ever told me to take the fat out of your diet and you will reverse diabetes. I was just living the model of what doctors told me to do. Yeah.
And you had 8 medications at the time you were on, and right now you are on no medication at all.
Yeah. Yeah, no medications at all. I have my cholesterol is fine, my blood pressure is fine, my A1Cs are fine, my blood glucose, yeah, nothing. I have more energy than I had when I was 20.
It's unbelievable, because in the current practice, once we put patients on these medications, it's almost unheard of taking them off. And this is where lifestyle medicine is so important. And you are the embodiment of everything that lifestyle medicine stands for. So we are so excited to share this story. I just wanted to show your story in pictures because they're truly empowering. So
yeah, pictures are powerful.
And so you said that you had gestational diabetes and with every single pregnancy. And when you stopped, when it stopped, unfortunately, you didn't feel motivated at that point to change your diet. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't really motivated, and no one really, they never, I mean, they give you, they give you the diagnosis that maybe in the future, but they don't say to you, if you changed your lifestyle, if you maintained a body weight that was normal for you, BMI, they don't say this to you. They just say, oh, you're fine now, and you leave the hospital with your baby. You just, that's life. And then, once again, you get busy, and I'm not one of those people who runs to a doctor for everything. I know there's a lot of people who take better care of themselves than I did. I totally agree with that. But I'm not someone who would run to a doctor because I have a cold, or run to a doctor because I have the flu. I would just kind of take care of it at home like my grandparents did, But yeah, I right now, I know that it's all about the food. I know it's all about the food. All of our diseases, everything is all about the food. Of course, there are people who have problems, anatomical problems or a heart problem or something like this, but I know it's all about the food. People that I talk to, that you just change your food, you get it in your mind what to do. And it's not always easy, because a lot of us, nobody's cooking anymore. People maybe don't like to cook, or they're confused about what to do, or their family won't do it with them. But once you have a why, and I had a why,
so
I just was miserable and I couldn't do it anymore.
When did you realize that it's possible and that you were able to connect it with your why? When was that moment?
Right. Okay. Well, if I'll continue my story then, as I said, when I was 42, I was diagnosed, and I went another till about, I think, 15 years. I lived with diabetes, medications, everything getting worse, complications. I had so many complications with diabetes. My biggest problem was neuropathy, where you have tingling in your feet. There's a numbness in your feet. You can't really feel them. And my biggest problem was because it's the blood circulation. Blood is not circulating down to your feet because of your diabetes and your overweight. I was obese. And so I used to have a lot of problems where even if I just walk, I would come home with these blisters. Like, we get blisters on our toes, right? So on your toe pad where you get a blister, and then it would, the stuff would seep out, or you'd try to heal it. I would have them for like 6 months at a time, and they wouldn't heal. I go to the doctor, all kinds of medications to heal them. Then you go on antibiotics, and then that ruins your gut again. And then, like I told you, it's just like a vicious circle because I had IBS. Well, if you go on antibiotics, which no one ever told me, these are all the things I learned later. No doctor, no nutritionist, no one told me these things. Here's an antibiotic because, these are really, really serious. We have to have an antibiotic. No one told me that will cause IBS. That will cause my gut microbiome to be just totally destroyed. No one told me this stuff. So you just do what the doctor tells you. Honestly, the doctor tells you, you do it. So after this, I had a couple problems then during the summers that were very hot. I would have like my entire legs would swell up from the ankles up. They would just balloon up overnight, and then you'd have to elevate your feet. And the doctor said that's the best thing. And I was already taking a diuretic pill for having high blood pressure. And I had a few incidences of cellulitis where the pressure was just so much. It was then the infections in my toes were not having any circulation. And then the cellulitis was growing up my body, which can go to your heart and cause terrible complications. And I had to go on antibiotics again and go into the hospital and have all these different procedures. So finally, actually, to tell you the truth, I was starting to read then to try to find out, well, what can I do? And as I said, I would read. I even read books like magazines that were just for diabetics, and tell things like, try these different supplements, try these different teas. I was taking cinnamon, I was taking ginseng, I was taking herbal teas, I was taking green tea, and you're doing all this stuff, but nobody ever told me it's your food. No one ever told me eliminate the oils in your body. No one said anything. So I was taking all these different supplements. I was trying everything. And then one time I came across a paper that said, yes.
I was just going to ask, so because you were already under a diabetic specialist at the time, so what kind of information did they give you? How did they explain diabetes to you? And did they tell you how you can take control of it?
Right. Okay. Well, I will tell you that at this time I was living in another country. I was living in the Middle East, and I was living in Egypt, to be exact. That's where I was diagnosed. And doctors there are not that forthcoming. They have like a pamphlet that they give you that might talk about the diet, low carb, don't eat fruit. I mean, these are the basic normal, keep low carb, don't eat fruit. You must have proteins, go and buy turkey breasts and chicken. And this is what you should eat every meal. You should have eggs for breakfast. This is what they told you. And as I was saying, in that country, they aren't so forthcoming, or they weren't then, what I can say. But the doctor was a specialist in my city, and he just, you listen to what he says. Like I said, this is what you should do. He wanted to put me on insulin even from the days there, the first appointment. And I said, no, I'm not going to go on insulin. And then I went on all these different oral medications, but they kept increasing and then adding more as I got older. And as the diabetes, nothing was changing. Well, as I was saying, in 2015 or 16, I heard about veganism. And I thought, well, let's try veganism. Maybe that's going to help me, because everyone seemed to be healthier, or they looked healthier, or they looked thinner, or they looked slim. So I tried veganism, but basically veganism is just, I stopped eating animal products, but I was eating a ton of oil. I was making my own ice cream, and I was thinking, wow, this is great. I make my own ice cream. How do I make it? With coconut milk. So I was eating a ton of coconut milk and a ton of oil, olive oil on every salad and stir fries. And my A1C went to a high of 11. And then my doctor kind of like, what? Yeah, excuse me? I don't know what that number is.
Yeah, so 11% is 97 millimoles per mole.
Yeah. And when my A1C came back that much, my doctor said, what did you do? He asked me how it got, because I think it went from like a 8, then a 10, then it went back to a 7. So I don't even know. I can't even tell you what I was doing at that time. You take an A1C, I took it like twice a year, not even every 3 months. And it would go all these, and it went to 11. He's like, well, what are you doing? I said, well, I became a vegan. I thought that would be better. He's like, no, nothing is going to help you. We have to put you on insulin. And I still wouldn't do it. I just wouldn't do it. I just was afraid. Really, really, I was afraid. And then one day, just by chance, I was on my email. I got an email from someone who said, come to this summit. And the summit was by Cyrus Kambata and Robbie Barbero, who wrote the Mastering Diabetes cookbook, or book, but they didn't write that till later. This was one of their first summits for reversing diabetes. That was the name of the summit. And I was trapped. I'm like, what? Reversing? What's that? How? I've never saw that word. What do you mean? So I registered and I went to it, and it was free and it was online. And I just sat there for days, and I watched 20 different doctors and nutritionists and dietitians and scientists talk about whole food plant-based medicine and lifestyle medicine, the pillars, the principles of lifestyle medicine, how you can reverse your diabetes. And I thought, this is pretty interesting. And I just kind of listened, and I thought, okay, there has to be a gimmick. There has to be a gimmick. What do they want to sell me? Are they going to sell me a supplement? Is it a year-long program? What are they going to do? And they didn't sell anything. This was just information to take them into your own hand. And I thought, okay, this is simple. All I'm going to do is eat the right food, try to exercise, sleep really well, because that's a problem too. I was going through menopause, hot flashes. My menopause started when I was 45. And at this point, I was now 52. So I'd lived for a long time, sleepless nights and all these problems. And no one ever associates sleep with weight gain also. So I tried it. I implemented it. I went right away. And I did tell my doctor after a few days, I told him I'm trying this. And he just kind of like poof me, just like, okay, well, come to an appointment next week. And he didn't want to listen to me. And so I was having a blood glucose monitor at home, of course, and you prick take your finger stick measurements of blood all the time. And the numbers just started dropping in my medication, and I was dizzy. And I would tell him, and I'm like, I just think, this is what the doctors had told me. And he's like, what doctor? And I said, I saw them online. And then, he thinks, but he's not your doctor. I'm your doctor. And I'm like, yeah, but I really think, my blood sugars are too low. I've got to drop some of these medications. So I just did it. And I thought, well, what can it hurt me? I'm doing this every day. I'm taking my blood sugar every day. If it goes higher again, I know to put the more medicine back up, but it never went higher. They just got lower and lower and lower until the point I went to an appointment with him, and I told him, I can't take this one anymore. And I showed him my record. I will be honest, I never really did blood sugar tests all the time, but now I did when I went on the diet, because I thought, well, let's just really see. I wanted to prove it to myself, or see, does it really work? And the blood sugars were just really, really good. And he said, okay. And so he took me off one.
That happened?
Well, it happened in the first 2 weeks. In the first 2 weeks, I was lowering the doses and lowering the dosages. And I was still on metformin. I stayed on metformin. I was taking Amaryl, and I was taking Pranlin, these two different ones for a different reason. You're taking it morning dose, and evening dose. It's very confusing. You're on all these medicines. But I went off one, then I went off another. I stayed on metformin because that's kind of the one they all tell you that's the best one for you. And I was still taking like all these supplements, and I was taking supplements the doctor had given me too for like my neuropathy, a specific B complex vitamin and a multivitamin and all this stuff. I stayed with that and the metformin, but my numbers just kept getting better and better, and my blood glucose and my cholesterol, everything. I mean, my blood pressure even. And after that, in about 6 months, when my A1C came back, it was only a 5.6 from 11. So,
I mean, come on, guys, just let's stop for a second here and celebrate this.
I know.
Like, put a love for Zaynub in the chat and congratulate her with a love emoji, or send your love towards her, because it's incredible.
Oh, thank you.
Like, come on, just
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible in yourself. Inside yourself, you're like,
you kept
how
going.
How did this happen? Your brain is just like, well, how did this happen? Why did I not know this? Why all the magazines? I mean, I would even buy books. Someone in America would buy them and bring them when they traveled to Egypt for me, that were by a diabetic specialist, or by someone who's like, this is really how you should deal with diabetes. Nothing told me I could reverse it. Everything always says this is a disease you'll live with your whole life. Mm-hmm. So when this happened to me, I just became just so enthusiastic, and I was just like, I got to find out why, and I got to help everybody that I know. So that's what I've been trying to do. That's what I've been trying to do.
Can I ask you, Zaynub, sorry to interrupt.
No problem.
Can I ask you, when did you get off of the rest of your medications, your cholesterol medications, and so?
Yeah, I was done in 6 months. I was off all medication. I just little by little, and when numbers came back, and they kept coming back, and the doctor kept sending me to the lab, because he didn't even believe it. This diabetic doctor, he would hush me out of the room really quickly if I came for an appointment with other people. They looked at me and they're like, oh, you've lost a lot of weight. What are you doing? If I opened my mouth to tell them, he would rush me into the room for my appointment. He did not want to have to. I don't know what it is. I can't tell you from his point of view. I don't know, but he, as a doctor, maybe he doesn't have the time. He doesn't know about plant-based nutrition. I really don't know, but he did not want to spend the time telling all these other people what to do. I myself took it upon myself. In Egypt, I think it was 2015 or 16 or somewhere around that. I'm not really sure of the date. It became known about plant-based diet. And we had one doctor who was a heart doctor, Bassem Youssef, who he had saw friends reverse like lupus and all these other things. He himself became plant-based. And he had a group now on Facebook. So I joined the group,
sorry, just one
which
second
now
here.
I'm a moderator for.
It's amazing that you're sharing, so much love and reversing so many patients' diabetes now. But I just want to comment on Donna. She just wrote here. She's an amazing GP here in the UK, and she said, I can't wait to talk to my diabetic patients when I'm at tomorrow. I didn't realize numbers could come down in just 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah.
And Donna, we had these studies with regards to bariatric surgery, and that's when a patient goes on for an operation to make their stomach smaller. Here in the UK, these patients were put on a 2-week 600-calorie diet. And in the beginning, they noticed that their diabetes disappeared in 2 weeks. That's when we started speculating, is it the bariatric surgery that followed that caused these changes, or was it the diet? So they started to put patients on a 600-calorie diet without the bariatric surgery, and the outcome was the same. Now, the question is why? And it is because in 2 weeks' time, the fat from your liver disappears. So it's the key organ here is the liver. And as soon as you declutter the liver from fat, finally insulin resistance waits over time, and it becomes much more sensitive to it. Thus, the diabetes responds so quickly. The next question is, how is it sustainable? Well, there's a lot of diets out there that are unfortunately not sustainable, because nobody wants to live on a 600-calorie diet that you have to count every day. And this is why the whole food plant-based diet is so incredible, because it's low calorie but very high in nutrients. So you can eat as much as you want, basically, because the calorie is low, but you're constantly getting all the nutrients that you need without clogging up your organs, thus in many cases even reversing diabetes, just like we can see it here with Zaynub. So
I think another point to add here is that with a 600-calorie diet, or something like a soup and shake diet, for the person doing it, it's miserable. Like there's whatever that you're putting it inside, volume-wise, taste-wise, maybe not so great. But when you're on a whole food plant-based diet, you are able to eat a lot of volume because of the low calorie foods that you're able to consume. So you can eat a lot more of that and feel full, and for it to be enjoyable at the same time.
Yeah, I will agree. But what Dr. Linda was saying is, this is a diet I can live with the rest of my life.
Yeah.
You can't live on 600 calories the rest of your life. Even do put people who are in a really bad situation, or as you said, with want to go and have bariatric surgery. If you do drop calories, you can drop weight quickly. Your diabetes can change, your cholesterol levels, all these things can change. But if you lose weight on that low calorie, the weight will come back when you think, okay, I've lost all the weight, I'm done now. What do? I go back to eating my same food. My lifestyle's the same. I just am thinner now, but you gain it all back. This is just study after study after study shows this. There's studies that show that people who lose weight, even if you lose 30 pounds, most people gain it back within a year. If you lose a lot of weight, I think they say 98% of people gain it back in the next 2 years. So these are the statistics they have. I am in an international weight registry control program. I'm in that. There's Facebook groups for anyone. They take anyone because they do surveys. They find out, how are you sustaining a weight loss? How are you doing it? Because honestly, anyone can lose weight. You can go on keto and lose weight. It's just you're restricting calories, but you have to think of changing your lifestyle so that you will always do what you're doing to lose the weight the rest of your life. If I began now, okay, I'm fine. My BMI is 22. I'm fine. I have no problems, no diabetes, no cholesterol, no blood pressure. Everything's fine. If I now started bringing back in cheese and olive oil with every meal, like I did before, I would then get diabetes again immediately. because like Dr. Linda was saying, it's all about having a fatty liver. It's all about your liver is full of fat, and the insulin that you have in your body from your pancreas is not working properly. It just cannot make the insulin work. Your body's insulin resistant. Now my body is insulin sensitive. Now I eat tons of food. I eat so much food. It's unbelievable how much food, but I don't gain weight because all my food is calorie dense. Yeah, not a lot of calories, but a lot of nutrition, super nutrition. Yeah.
Great. So let's just, can we just take another look of the picture of you and the numbers as well. So here you were 5 years ago, you had all these diagnoses 5-6 years ago, and you had really bad neuropathy. And on this list of medications, which actually I didn't put on here, you're diuretic. So you were on the diuretic for your blood pressure, and your blood pressure on medication was 140/80. Now, 6 months later, these are your numbers, except for the weight. I think that this picture in the middle was more of your 6 months.
Yeah, that's 6 months. Actually, the numbers, all the biometrics underneath the last picture, that's after actually 18 months. 18 months I'm back. I'm to normal. Yeah. But off all medications. Yeah.
Off all medications at 6 months. And now off medication, your blood pressure is 90/70. It's without any blood pressure medications. And we can see your waist went from 48 inches to 34. And your cholesterol from 4.6 to 2.8. And your HbA1c was 97, and now down to 34, which is just amazing.
Wait, can we say that again? Your blood pressure is 90/70, yes? That's my blood pressure as well. And you know, just make sure you tell your doctor if you're in emergency, or tell your family to tell them that your blood pressure is so low, because otherwise they're gonna over resuscitate you and give you like 3 liters of fluid, thinking that you are unwell.
Yeah.
That's incredible. And that blood pressure is so important to keep that low, because that's everything to do with your vessels, which need the protection from having that extra pressure that can make it blow in. You know, this is when we are talking about strokes in the brain. If that blood pressure is high, unfortunately, every single organ will be affected. Your eyes, your brain, all your organs, your heart. We don't talk enough about blood pressure because it seems like everybody has a semi-high blood pressure, so it's kind of culturally normal. But in emergency medicine, what we see is acute side effects from high blood pressure, or even medium blood pressure, which is like that for many, many years. So protecting that blood pressure and getting it down under 100, that is just so protective, and you have done such a good job for your health. Incredible story, Zaynub. We are so impressed.
I just want to highlight here, from 5 years ago with this list of diagnoses, now you've managed to cross off the labels, and your mood has now normalized. You're no longer depressed. You've lost the weight, so you're no longer obese. Your IBS symptoms with your new lifestyle, you've managed to also get rid of your IBS symptoms. Your blood pressure is now normal, and you're in remission from your diabetes with a HbA1c of 34, which is incredible. And your neuropathy, we were talking earlier, what's going on with your neuropathy symptoms now?
Well, neuropathy is when, you know, as I mentioned before, you're not getting as much blood circulation. It's not getting down to your feet. So you have numbness and tingling, maybe cramping at night, all these things. And like I said, I had infections and stuff because there's just not enough blood, new circulation going down there when you do get a little cut or a nick or any little problem. Now I would say I still have about 10%. My feet, they're not perfect. The feeling, you'll still have it if I'm very tired, if I've been out hiking and climbing and walking a lot, you'll still have it, but it's so much lower now because after I became plant-based, I did speak with a doctor who's a plant-based doctor, and he said, well, just fill your body with a lot of greens. Just really have a lot of greens. They have all these antioxidants, and something about it opens up all the capillaries. And so that's helped me a lot. And I do, I love them. So I eat greens like every single day. It's every meal. So it's helped me a lot. But neuropathy, there's something I'm not expecting ever in my life to be 100%, because damage has been done. Nerve cells have died in my feet. So I still pay attention. I still keep my toenails clipped, short, and give myself, soak my feet in baths and stuff when they're tired, but just pay a lot of attention. But I don't get the problems anymore with the blisters. But then once again, I'm not carrying around 270 pounds, So there's all of it goes in a big circle. You're not carrying around that weight. You're not going to get all of the blisters that I used to get, and I'm out walking every day. I walk hours a day. So yeah.
Yeah, go on, Linda.
No, that you just, not only that you prevented yourself or went into remission, but you also prevented your disease to progress to what we very well know ends up in kidney failure, heart failure, and your eyesight will go with type 2 diabetes. So you stop that progression.
Right.
It's incredible to see, because we talk a lot about insulin resistance being the fundamental problem due to which all of these chronic diseases actually develop. It is one disease. All of them that we talk about in the Western world, chronic diseases are underlined by insulin resistance. Once you were able to become insulin sensitive, again, voila, all of your diseases that the Western world is actually dealing with more and more, it disappeared. So it's just incredible.
And what I was going to say as well, it was along the same line on the complications of diabetes. So as you mentioned, eyesight, kidneys, nerves, heart, these are all organs affected by diabetes. And there is actually evidence showing that these complications from diabetes, they start to develop even in the pre-diabetes ranges of blood sugar. So maybe you are pre-diabetic or you're borderlining becoming pre-diabetic. We just have to be mindful that some of these complications are starting to develop. Even though without a diagnosis of officially being having diabetes, it doesn't mean that we're safe from these complications. And I went to a webinar not long ago on heart failure, and one of the statistics really shocked me quite a bit, and I did share with Linda afterwards, that 2 out of 3 people with type 2 diabetes have some level of heart dysfunction, the left ventricular dysfunction, within 4 years of diagnosis, and up to 28% of people living with diabetes have undiagnosed heart failure. I mean, these are not small numbers, so something to be mindful of.
And so it just shows how quickly it develops, unfortunately, but also how quickly we can reverse it. And it's not only for patients with obesity. Unfortunately, now 1 out of 4 people with the normal weight, completely normal weight, 70 kilos for a man, walking around with metabolic syndrome, which is what you had. And that's 1 out of 4. So we are missing the people who are walking around with this disease just because we don't identify them as obese. So we don't do the necessary checks and advise them on their lifestyle. And that starts with the problem here is the fat in the liver. So whilst you're not obese outside, unfortunately, the fat is inside of your organs. And this is where metabolic disease starts. So it's very important to be mindful of the fat inside and outside, and not to propagate obesity as being only the problem, because then we miss so many of our patients. So Zaynub, When you were able to make all of these changes, and your doctor seen you, I know he wasn't really believing you. Did he follow up with you and wanted to find out how you did it?
No, no, not really. I just stopped being his patient because I now had succeeded. I told him I don't need to come back anymore. He's like, well, you might end up, have an A1C, keep doing it. And I did it on my own. I kept having A1Cs just for myself, but I never went back to him. In the interim of all this happening, I had neighbors who had problems to coach them and help them when I was living in Egypt. And once again, I met another diabetic doctor. He was different, but he was visiting my neighbor, and I was there helping her because she had broken ankle or something. And as he sat talking to me, I was discussing with him my success. And he just sat there. Actually, I'm sorry to say, but he was an obese man. He weighed 300 pounds, a diabetic doctor. I was telling him how I reversed it, how I did this. He was saying, oh no, you need to eat, you need to have milk for calcium, your bones. And I like, no, I've had a bone test, my calcium's off the charts. And I said, and then he was just talking to me because he didn't know nutrition, which surprises me how a diabetic doctor doesn't know anything about nutrition. And I sat and I told him, okay, let me ask you a question. I said, I have not had milk or dairy product in 3 years. At this point, it was 3 years. I said, how is it my calcium scores off the charts? And he just was quiet. He had no answer for me. All he kept telling me was, you have to keep carbohydrates low. And I said, no, I eat carbohydrates all day long. It's all I eat, 500, 400, 500 grams of carbohydrates. I'm keeping my fat low. He just didn't know what to say. And I tried discussing, sit and have a conversation with him just as a layperson, just talking, nothing. I'm not angry with him. I just telling him, well, this is what I did. And all these doctors, and I even told him what book to read. I told him who to read. I told him, he's a man living in Egypt, but his English is perfect because a doctor anywhere in the world, you have to be educated in English. And, they travel England, they travel places to go to conferences. And I just told him, here's the book to read. But people just don't do it. I don't know why. So I've kind of taken it upon myself to do it myself. Anyone I meet, family, friends, anybody I'm talking to, I tell them, I will actually meet people and we talk about something. They're like, how old are you? And you're climbing a mountain, and you're very active. And how old are you? And I'm telling them, you have a child who's 30 and is 33. And I'm like, mm-hmm. And they're like, I don't believe it. And I'm like, but it's true. And I said, just, this is what you do. And then I'm like, and I tell people, well, I used to be 120 pounds heavier. And then they look at me like, wow, it is a shock. It is a shock to people because they don't know how did you lose that much and why are you keeping it off? So it's a hard thing to do. I can't say it's easy, but now I know what to do. It's pretty easy for me, which I hate to tell people that. I really do because, the people have a hard time losing 20 pounds and keeping it off. So
Zaynub, sorry. So we're going to answer a few questions here. Hardcore.
Oh, yes, please.
Okay. One, what is a whole food plant-based diet?
Oh, okay. Whole food plant-based diet is just, if everyone knows what a vegan is, and veganism has been around, where veganism, people take all the animal foods out of your diet. And so whole food plant-based diet, it came from this in the 1960s. It was coined by Dr. T. Colin Campbell. And basically, he was working in the nutrition systems here in America. And at a meeting one time, they were trying to say, we have to tell people what should we use as a term. And he said, I don't want to use the word veganism because I'm not a vegan myself. But he'd been following this way. He said, this is a whole food diet. I eat whole foods. I don't eat processed foods. Processed foods are always going to be full of more sugar than you need, more salt than you need, and oil, because that's how they process it, package it, and keep it on the shelf. So instead of whole food diet, you eat most of your foods just from natural ingredients, fruits, vegetables, greens, beans, potatoes, mushrooms, nuts, seeds, herbs, and spices. That's it.
And the difference between, if we talk about veganism, it's very much an ethical belief to protect the animals. We always say you could be eating Oreo cookies and Coca-Cola all for breakfast, lunch, and dinner and be vegan. But unfortunately, your body won't thank you for it. These foods are exactly the foods which in the Western world are causing the rise, the pandemic of what we are calling now the underlying health conditions, the chronic diseases, or if you can call it the non-communicable diseases, such as heart disease, type 2 diabetes, obesity that is unhealthy, many cancers, colon and breast cancer. So knowing that processed foods, the processed carbs that we are talking about to be unhealthy is key. Mm-hmm. So you were talking about vegetables, dark greens, fruits, legumes, a lot of lentils and beans that we encourage our patients to eat large quantities of. And of course, if you're not vegan and you want to incorporate some animal products, if you wish to, just make sure that it's not on a regular basis. It's maximum 10% of your intake. So just change your plate where the centerpiece is vegetables, legumes, nuts, and fruits instead of the current processed food diet. So there's a question, do you eat rice, pasta, bread, and potatoes? This is my favorite one.
Yes, I eat them every day, pretty much every meal. That's the difference. People are not understanding what's it mean, carbohydrates, because a carbohydrate can be a lentil or a lollipop. It's a big difference. There's a big difference. Just the same as people who talk about carbohydrates. That's why people who are diabetic, they tell you to stay off sugar. Well, sugar is table sugar, or sugar is in an apple, okay? An apple is not going to cause you a blood spike, a blood sugar, blood glucose spike, but table sugar will, because they affect your body in a different way. An apple has, well, it's the same thing if you have apple or apple juice, right? You're going to have the same chemical, same property. You're going to have the same antioxidants, same vitamins, but one has fiber and one is just liquid apple juice that when it hits your body, it of course makes glucose flood your system faster. So that's why we eat fruits and vegetables. They have a lot of fiber. Fiber is the number one thing in plant-based world that everyone's talking about now, because fiber is what heals your gut microbiome, takes away the IBS, all this fiber that you eat. But yes, I eat oatmeal every day. I pretty much have a baked potato every single day. If you're hungry, you eat a baked potato. This is one of the first things I tell my clients. You really think you're hungry and you need something? Go put a microwave, bake a potato, eat it with mustard, eat it with salsa, put chili, beans, anything you want on top. You will not be hungry then. You won't be able to fit any more food in your stomach. You'll be full, because a potato is the most satiating food in the world. This is proven by studies by Dr. Barbara Rolls. So a potato is number one, oatmeal is number two. I eat them every day.
Great. And just to add on to what you were saying about fiber, and how eating an apple causes a much slower response in our bloodstream because of the fiber, and the fiber slows down the release of the sugar from the food into the bloodstream. And fiber is something that in the Western world we eat very little of. And do you know how much fiber you eat, Zaynub?
Oh, I don't know.
Probably don't, because you don't need to count it, right?
No. Well, basically, it's hard. I mean, I could figure it out if I needed to, but I'm one of those people. I'm not doing anything on Chronometer. I'm not keeping any score. I just never have been one of those people, because I did it so much with dieting. I spent my life yo-yo dieting, where one diet was just, count your calories. And it's like, okay, I count my calories and I'm starving every day. Or how many grams of sugar are in this? How many grams of carbs? I just stopped doing it. Now I don't count anything. I just eat whole food, natural food. Everything is a very low calorie density. The only thing I really eat that's higher calorie density would be a sprinkle of nuts and seeds. That's about it. All I eat that's higher calorie. Dark chocolate. I'll have dark chocolate, the darkest I can find, have that as a snack, a treat with a nut, or inside a date. But yeah, it's just changing your lifestyle. I think it's looking at food in a different way. You have to learn a whole new way of cooking, a whole new way of shopping. You just really have to kind of figure out what you're going to do when all those things arise. How are you ordering food at a restaurant? What are you doing when you're outside with friends? And so it's a little more complicated, but if you talk to someone who can help you, or if you just, like I was so inclined, because it's just my personality, to do it on my own, to find it on my own, to read, to study. Other people can't do that. And I appreciate that. That's why I coach it now, because they come to you and they're like, I don't know what to eat. what do I do? So then you just give them tips, give them tricks, tell them here's a great cookbook, and then there's so many people you don't want to read anymore. Here's a YouTube channel, turn it on in the background,
Zaynub, I would just love to ask our audience here if they know how much fiber do they eat. They do comment here on the chat. I would just love to know if they have ever thought about fiber as something being a thing. And before I tell you the answer of how much the Westerners eat, we just going to share the number that we should be aiming for. Whilst the suggestion is around 30 to 40 grams, please do not shy away from eating 60 to 80 up to 100 grams really. Do it gradually. So that your gut can get used to it. You can increase it by adding 1 can of beans, 1 can of lentils a day, an extra salad or a nice bake with potatoes and juicy vegetables spiced up your way. So we have a shout out. Jason says around 75 days how much we should be eating. But in the West, basically, we are eating 10 to 15 grams if you're lucky. And this is why there's so much sickness. So aim towards 30, 40, and gradually increase it every 2 weeks so that you hit around 70 to 80 grams, if that helps. And then you will be able to address chronic diseases. And, when you're older, you don't have to have these diseases and you don't have to be fed into the Farmageddon and the diet industry, as Zaynub was for so many years. You can actually get away from it just by eating what I tell my patient often. Just imagine what your great-grandmother would have eaten. She would have eaten things that are accessible in her garden, in the neighbor's garden, and something from the farm, right? They wouldn't have had food with labels on it and a lot of processed products. So just keep it simple. Go to your grocery store, get the greens and the fruits, then go to the lentil and the bean area, buy something from there, and where you go after that? You go home. You do not go into any other aisle at all. If you really need to, you can order a bit of nuts and dried fruits for that extra boost of energy, but that is really all you need to do.
Yeah, I totally agree. And if we're talking about people as they're older, because I'm 58. Most people that I have are friends or I grew up with, they all wonder, well, how could you lose that weight when you're even over, you're menopausal? How do you do that even after menopause? Because they're all gaining weight. They can't seem to get it off. And I'm like, it's all about the food. I can't stress it enough. It's the food. It's not really the exercise. It's the food that you're eating. Your food will be enough calories. If you are hungry, that means you've expended energy. You just need more food. And maybe I might have more food on some days than other days. One day I might, you did more effort, more exercise, you did something more, or it's a hot day, you're sweating more, or whatever it is. You'll need more energy one day, and the next day you just don't. You don't feel as hungry. Don't eat. This is another thing I'll say about diabetes, which when I was thinking about doing this presentation, I thought, here's another thing that's very interesting that everyone can think about. When you are a diabetic and you're on all these medications, I had to take one medication when I woke up before I had breakfast, and then you have to take your blood sugar. Then you have another medication you take before lunch, and then you have a third medication you take before dinner. And there's very many people who have to take another medication before they sleep at night. Well, all of these medications, they coincide with when you eat. That's how you're supposed to remember. I'm having lunch now, I need my pill. I'm having dinner now, I need my pill. Here's the point. Sometimes you're not hungry, but you have to eat because you got to take a pill. Right? So you're eating more than you even need to eat. You don't even have a hunger, but in your mind, even other people who have cholesterol problems or whatever your problem is, I have to take a pill, but the pill is best, the doctor told me, with food. So automatically you need to eat more food to take the pill because the pill is supposed to work with the food. It's just a big, it's a big circle, but no one discusses it with you. It
Zaynub,
stresses your body all the time.
You said something really amazing before we were on camera. Could you tell us a little bit about fasting and when did you use it?
Oh, yeah, sure. As I was saying, when you saw the 3 pictures of me. The middle picture of me was when I was at a plateau. I had lost about, I think, 60 or 65, 70. I can't remember exactly. But yes, I had lost the weight, and then I hit a plateau for about 4 to 5 months. 4 to 5 months, because in the beginning, if I want to just kind of go into it more, if you all want to know, when I first started this diet, I was losing 10 pounds every month consistently for 6 months. I lost 10 pounds. And then what happens is your body does put a halt to it. Your body stops losing weight as quickly because your metabolism has changed so much. Your body goes into this starvation mode. It's evolutionary psychology. Your body needs to know what's going on with this person. Why are they losing so much weight? It's not normal. So I went into a plateau for about 4 or 5 months. I didn't gain any weight back, but the weight was really slow. Like I'd lose 2 pounds a month, 1 month, 3 pounds 1 month, 5 pounds 1 month. And then I thought, well, let me see why. So I started reading, I started researching, and I was hearing all about this plateau. And I thought, okay, that's what's happening to me. I'm in a plateau. Well, when your body's in a plateau, basically it means my body is now finding its own new equilibrium because I'm in a plateau where I haven't gained any weight. I'm at one certain weight, but I'm staying there for 4 or 5 months. Your body regulates itself, right? It re-regulates itself. So now I knew that I had to push it. I had to make my body see I don't still need all this weight. So what I did then was, in my religion, we have a month of fasting called Ramadan. I had my month of fasting, which always during the month, I lost a lot of weight. So I lost 10 pounds, 15 pounds about in that month. And after that, I just started the next day when the month was over, I began an intermittent fasting, where this is even talked about in diabetes treatment. And it's talked about just all over the world now about intermittent fasting. And there's many ways to do it. Everyone can do it their way. You can try out different ways to do it. I myself do a 16-8, and I still do it now. I've done it for 5 years, where basically that means 16 hours of my day, I don't eat any food. I can drink teas. If you wanted coffee, you could, but I'm not a coffee drinker. Teas, herbal teas, maybe lemon in your water, cinnamon in your water, but you're not having anything with calories. I'm not adding sugar or honey. No calories. And then for 8 hours, that's my feeding window. And mine right now is about from 10 to 6 every day. 10 in the morning, I'll have breakfast. 6 o'clock, I'm done with my dinner, and I don't need any more food at all. Now, most people in the world, if you just want to talk to like experts about this, they say, anyway, we should kind of go back to what we did in the past in generations in the beginning of time, where you ate during sunlight, right? And then for 12 hours or 14 hours a day, no one ate because you slept. And you got energy because you woke up with the sun and you worked. This is our body rhythm. This is our circadian rhythm. This is what we're supposed to do. Nobody in the world does this now, especially in the Western world. People are eating ice cream at 11 o'clock at night, sleeping up 6 o'clock and having breakfast. You know, you don't give your body any chance at all to recuperate, to rest, to renew, to restore your energy. So this is kind of what I did. And it started and it kicked in. And from that second picture that you saw of me about 5 months later, then I had lost the rest of the 50 pounds. So all I did, that's really all I did. My food was still the same. My food was the same. I never changed it. I'm whole food plant-based all the time. But I just now started a regimen of fasting, no more food. I just have a really cutoff at 6 o'clock, and your body gets used to it. It's kind of nice to go to bed and your stomach is kind of empty and you wake up and you just feel energized. And usually I don't jump out of bed and eat right away anyway. I jump up, I exercise, might go for an hour-long walk, and then I'll come home and have breakfast. So yeah, but I don't.
Very important. Fasting is very important to allow the body to reset, especially when we think about cancer patients. It is a very powerful tool to use to allow the body not to feed the cancer. Because just like with anything in us, cancer is part of us. And we, as we feed our whole body with nutrients and sugars, it is also feeding our cancer. So it is useful to eliminate all the toxins and eating a whole food plant-based diet and supplementing it with fasting whenever we look at any chronic diseases. Of course, ask your doctor for advice when you are under medications on how to do this safely. It is just a principle that you can learn more about and ask your doctor about. It's very important. And there's much more research that we need to know, but it is certainly allowing your body to rest, reset, and eliminate the toxins in simple terms. And Zaynub, so I think our listeners would be very keen to learn more about your daily intake. So let's just walk them through what you would eat for breakfast, maybe a snack, lunch, and when do you eat your last dinner? Just a few meals, if you would share with us.
Yeah, sure, no problem. Pretty much every single day for breakfast, I'll have some type of oats, either oatmeal hot, an overnight oats that you can just, you make it the day before or 2 days before, leave it in the refrigerator, which is just oats, some plant milk, chia seeds, any fruits and berries, whatever you like, you choose it. Or I'll have oatmeal, or that's pretty much my morning, my breakfast. And I'm kind of I really eat about 2 huge meals. That'll be a very big meal. It's a lot. And then some tea after that. Snacks, I'll always have fruit. That's my fruits are, that's my snack. And then dinners, I'll usually have a huge salad. I call it a loaded salad because I'll put potatoes in it, tofu in it, beans in it, always beans in my salad. And like I said, it depends. These are pretty much my typical meals, though. Oatmeal every day, fruit every day, huge salads, lots of greens, and potatoes, or, you kind of switch it up. You don't eat the same thing every day. One day I'll eat pasta baked with lentil sauce, or, but eating beans every day for sure. So there are certain foods I'll eat every single day. Pretty much every single day I'll eat oats, berries, fruits, mushrooms quite a lot, tofu once in a while, and greens, salads, beans every day. Every single day I'll have beans. But, it's different occasions, maybe. And like I said, I'm doing a 16-8. Some people might do a 14 hours they fast, some people 12. Some people, they try to go to an 18 or 20 hours, which is very hard because you're getting a lot. You're trying to throw in, if you're a man, more than 2,000 calories in 2 or 3 hours. That's really hard for your digestion. So but this is something you can work on. You can try it yourself. If you need someone to help you, you can always go to a coaching, talk to a doctor, find out how can I incorporate this fasting and do what feels good to you. And like I said, I'm not dilettante about it. If I go somewhere and I have to eat outside at 7:00, that's my last meal, 7:00. I'm not so crazy that every day of my life I have to do this and I'm very regimented. No, I just don't think that's the way anyone should live, so regimented. So if you have to kind of give yourself a break, if you don't do it perfectly, do it perfectly. But it works. It worked for me. It just kind of pushes your body into a new rhythm, a new metabolism. You get into your own, your own circadian rhythms will take over. But yeah. I like it. It works for me. It's worked for my clients. So.
And Zaynub, tell us.
Anything else?
Yeah, Zaynub, tell us, what do you do now for your job, and how are you helping your clients help reverse diabetes and so many other diseases?
Yeah, right now I'm working for a service here in America. It's called telehealth coaching, and TerraHealth, TERRA health coaching service. We also have an app, and if you would get on the app on your phone, there's all kind of journaling that you do. And then if you want to talk to a coach, then you could refer to a coach. And then the coach will help you look at what your metrics, look at what your goal is. What do you want to do? What are you trying to reverse? We're also working with different doctors, organizations here in America. Like we just started now working with telehealth, plant-based telehealth, where these are, I think, 11 or 14 different doctors who are a regular doctor you would go to, have an appointment with. They discuss what your problem is, and then they send you to us for a 3-month coaching service where we then help you get your goals that they've established for you. You want to lower your blood pressure. You want to, get off diabetic medication. You want to just lower your weight. But, lifestyle medicine is about kind of your whole life. We talk about the 6 pillars: nutrition. We talk about exercise. What's your activity level? How well do you sleep? Stress management. Are you into alcohol, toxic things like this? And what's your life like? What's your lifestyle? What's your communication, your friendships? Are you stressed? Are you anxious? And we try to help you try to improve that, find different habits, different methods of changing your behavior so that you'll be a happier, more fulfilled person. That's what we pretty much do. And it's fun. It's fun. I love it. I love talking to people and meeting people and helping them.
You're very passionate about it, and we can see that. And you're so grateful because you also joined our community here on Afternoon Tea with Docs. And you're helping patients and anybody free of charge on your free time, helping them live their best life. So thank you so much for your energy. And guys, if you haven't joined our free membership area in our community, you're more than welcome to on afternoonteawithdocs.com. Go to the members area and join the group, this wonderful community where Zaynub and Jason is sharing their whole food recipes and ideas. Jason is amazing plant-based cook who I am learning from every single day. Thank you so much, Jason, also for sharing those recipes and how to sprout things. Most things usually die under my hands, but with your help and with Zaynub's inspiration, the community has been really thriving. So thank you so much for that. If you want to connect with Zaynub and her coaching, we have put it here into the chat, and also we added it on our YouTube comments so that there's a direct link there. So thank you so much for today. We are going to go off onto our discussion that is not recorded for those who have joined us here on Zoom, and so many of you have, which is wonderful. And if anybody would like to support our work, which is free and always will be, you're welcome to donate on afternoonteawithdocs.com. There's a donation link, or here in the comments below. Also say hello to us on Instagram, Facebook, and also on LinkedIn, where you can find out more about our work, and we can find out more about you if you are not in the community area. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we hope to see you next Sunday. And until then, please keep safe and be well.